My coffee is drank, my candle's lit. Let's get this show on the road. What's up, you guys? It's Shani, and wow, it's been a long time. I haven't posted on this channel, at least as far as like beauty related stuff, in a really long time. So I'm kind of excited to share this with you guys. I've had a few people in the last several months like ask me, how do I do my makeup? What products do I use? All that other stuff. The last person I talked to actually specifically requested that I do a YouTube video on my makeup routine. I did one years ago on this channel. It's very, very different now. It's more involved, like there's more steps to everything and I use more products, but I feel like I've made a lot of improvements, and I really like how my skin looks when I'm done. So I look like a sunburnt potato right now because I have rosacea, but let's fix that. I started with my skincare routine. I washed my face, I put on some serum and some moisturizer and gave that a chance to kind of soak in a little bit. The reason I always do that is because I feel like it makes a huge difference in the longevity of my makeup. It keeps it from breaking up throughout the day. So, you know, whether you have dry skin or oily skin, whatever type of skin you have, I think that's going to be really beneficial to do it shortly before you start your makeup, because you'll notice a big difference in how long it lasts. I don't really use primer. It's not so much my thing. I don't really feel like it makes much of a difference for my skin. So I'm going to jump right into foundation, and the foundation that I use is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This is the best foundation that I've tried for my skin. It has a radiant finish, but it also has good coverage, which is exactly what I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my beauty sponge. I think this is from BH Cosmetics, one of the best, you know, beauty sponges I've ever tried. And it's super cheap. It's like maybe $3. But I'm just going to take a little bit. I got some on the back of my hand. I dipped in, and I'm just, you know, blending it in. Okay, so now that my foundation is on, I'm going to go ahead and conceal. I use the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair Neutral. Now this stuff is not necessarily budget friendly. It's like $20-something. So if you have oily skin, a pretty good dupe for it is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, this right here. I tried this and I wasn't crazy about it because it did emphasize some dry patches on me, but I will tell you, it is the most full coverage concealer that I've ever had from the drugstore. So it's really good. If you have oily skin, I think that you would like it. If you have dry skin, they have a moisturizing one, which I intend to try, but I just haven't done it yet. So I just take some of this and take a little bit on each side, like so. Probably don't need quite as much as I use, but you know what? That's okay. I take some down my nose like this. I dip in and I go on my forehead like that. And then I take a little bit more along my chin and right up underneath my nose. I go directly in and blend it. I'm going to put a little bit of setting spray on my sponge. This sponge is damp, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier, but it's really important to use a damp sponge. And I just go right in and start blending it out. If you let it sit on the skin for a little while, like Jackie Ina says, it does give it more of a full coverage effect, but for my skin type, being as dry as I am, that doesn't really work as well for me, and it kind of goes a little bit patchy. So if you have oilier skin, that's a great tip. But for me, I'm just going to blend it in right away. Now that that's, for the most part, blended in, before I set it with any kind of setting powder, I'm going to go ahead and take this little eye brush from Milani, and I like to go into the corners of my eyes and just blend it out a little bit more because my sponge is just a little bit too big to get into the corner of my eye and blend that concealer out. You could also use a smaller blending sponge or whatever for your eyes, but I don't have one at the moment, so I'm just gonna go ahead and blend it out with my little eye brush here. Okay, so now that that's blended in, we want to set pretty quickly. And I use the Coty Airspun powder. Most everything I'm using here is drugstore. You can find most of it at Walmart. I love this stuff. It's kind of got a strong smell, but I like it. And I'm going to use this Morphe sponge here, also damp. Again, I feel like that's pretty important, at least for dry skin, for it to be damp. And I'm going to go ahead and take it, a little bit of powder, and just kind of start underneath my eyes, because those are going to crease before anything else does, at least on me. Just taking about that much powder. Tap off some of the excess. And then just putting that underneath my eye, like so. And then after that, we're gonna set the rest of the face. I was really scared of using powders for like the longest time because of my skin type. But it's really about knowing like what powders work best for your skin and how best to use them, what types of foundation to use them with. Like I would never use a powder like this with like a matte foundation or even like a satin finish foundation, but because this foundation right here is so dewy, I find that using powder with it works. Like it works for me. And honestly, this step right here is one that I could not skip these days, because I feel like this is what actually like blurs my skin, and it kind of does what I always expected primer to do for me, you know? Powder helps with the longevity of my makeup, and powder helps to blur my pores, so I kind of don't really feel like there's a need for it. So I basically just, as you can see, I'm just patting it in all over my skin, and I'm gonna pat it in right here as well. I don't take it into the center of my forehead, but I definitely make sure to get around the perimeter of my face because we're gonna bronze there. And if you have powder down, it's gonna help the powder bronzer that I'm gonna use. It's gonna help that to blend out a lot more nicely. Now, if you're using a cream bronzer, definitely do that before you do any of the powder or anything like that, because then it's gonna get really bad. It's gonna get really cakey, and yeah, it's just not gonna be cute. And we want to be cute, you know. Now that we have powder all over our face, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some setting spray over top of that. The reason I do that is because it kind of takes down some of the powdery look, because I look very like flat matte right now. It just helps to kind of melt that powder into the skin and make it look a little bit more natural, as well as kind of lock everything in place. I like to use the Morphe setting spray. This is the continuous misting setting spray. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a really fine mist to it. And it's amazing. It's my favorite. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of douse my face in setting spray. Try to concentrate it like right here, especially because I tend to get like dry patches on my cheeks and stuff. And at this point, you could just let it sit for a little while. You could take like an eyeshadow palette and fan yourself, but because I'm extra, I have a little handheld fan. I just turn it up all the way and just run it across my face like so, and it just helps to dry down that setting spray pretty quickly. So now for the fun part, and by fun I mean stressful, the dreaded brows. I'm not gonna go too in depth with this. I'm not, you know, I'm just gonna show you what I use and then do like a fast motion of me putting my brows on, because everyone does their brows differently. Everyone uses different products, you know, everyone has a specific brow product that works the best for them, I feel like. And there's also like a million bajillion furfillion brow tutorials on YouTube, so if you want one, take your pick from any number of really amazing YouTubers that can do their brows probably better than I could. But I'm a brow pencil user, and the best brow pencil that I've ever tried is the It Cosmetics Brow Power in the shade Universal Taupe. Comes with a thin little pencil like that. Is the spoolie on the end? That's disgusting. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do my brows. Say a prayer. I start by like just spooling them, and yeah, and then I just kind of go in like that really carefully. kind of do like some like hair stroke motions, and it keeps it from being too harsh, and it gives me a little bit more control. If you're a brow pencil person, I definitely would suggest this to you, because I find like the formula is not too stiff, but it's not too creamy either. Like you can, I mean, it gives you good pigmentation without, you know, without you losing control and having like caterpillar brows. So now that our brows look like distant cousins, we're gonna go ahead and finish the rest of our face. I'm gonna start by bronzing, and the bronzer that I love is the Butter Bronzer in Light. This stuff is amazing. This is Physicians Formula, by the way, butter bronzer. Super like creamy formula on it. It's not like matte, so it works really well for me. If you have oily skin, you might go for a more like matte type of bronzer. I use, what is this even from? Coastal Scents, I think. This is a Coastal Scents brush, I'm pretty sure. And it's just like a tapered blending brush. And I find that this works best for me because it's fluffy enough to like blend it out and everything. But it's also, the tapered part of it keeps me, I don't know, it kind of helps me with like the control. Keeps it from going super muddy and like getting everywhere. It kind of helps me to concentrate it in one side of the face, or one area of the face. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and just blend it up like this towards my hairline. Take it along my temps. I'm gonna go ahead and take it along the side of my forehead here, because you know, mama's got a 5 head, gotta fix that. That's pretty much what I do for my bronzer. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll get into blush. Okay, my bronzer is done, and I'm gonna start on my blush. Now, my favorite blush of all time is the NARS Orgasm blush. I got like a little sample size of it for my birthday like 2 years ago from Ulta, and I used that thing up until like maybe a couple of months ago. I finally hit pan on it, and then I lost it. So I have here the CoverGirl Cheekers. This one is in Pretty Peach. I love peachy blushes, and I actually really like this one because it's not, it has maybe a tiny bit of shimmer in it, but it's not, there's not a ton of it, right? Like it's not too much, because we are gonna highlight our face, so we don't want too much shimmer. But the next chance I get, I am definitely going to get some more NARS blush. So I take it on an angled Coastal Scents brush like so. You would probably, most people would probably use this to contour, which I kind of do contour with my blush a little bit. You know, I just kind of dab it like that, and then take it up basically right next to my contour. The reason I do it this way, and the reason I like using like an angled brush like this, is because again, it keeps it from going all over the place and getting crazy looking. And I like to just kind of run it up my cheeks like this, because I feel like it kind of, I don't know, my face is a little bit round, so it kind of helps to chisel it a little bit more, but still give me, you know, a flush of color. I try not to go too ham on the blush, but you know, sometimes you just do. It's okay. It's fine. Also, the other thing about blush too is that it fades pretty quickly throughout the day. So if you go a little bit hard on it at first, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I don't know if I said this earlier when I was talking about taking my blush up like this, and kind of, you know, lining it up a little bit with my contour, or my bronzer, I guess you could say. But blush application is going to be different for everybody, just depending on the shape of your face. Again, like I said earlier, my face is a little bit more on the round side, so I want it to look a little bit more, I guess, chiseled in a way. I don't know, but I feel like that kind of helps. If I take it too far over here, I feel like it makes my face look a little bit more round, and I kind of don't want that, you know? So now that the blush is applied, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean up underneath where we put our bronzer and stuff. I'm just gonna take some more loose powder, and this time I'm gonna take the flat edge of this sponge and just run it like so underneath where I put my bronzer and my blush and everything. And I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit and just bake. This is the only part of my face that I actually bake, because I feel like it helps kind of clean up that area, creates like a distinct line between here and then my, you know, my bronzer and my blush. And then it also sets this part of my face pretty well and helps keep it on for the rest of the day. So now that I've got that on, I'm gonna let that sit and bake for a little while. And while it's doing that, I'm gonna do my eyes. Now, I'm not gonna get too in-depth with my eyes either. I'm not gonna do anything crazy or like super creative or anything like that, just because this is mostly about my like foundation sort of routine, or like makeup, base makeup routine. I don't know, I'm just kind of winging it, so.
A few moments later.
I'm gonna wipe away that bake that we did and maybe do a little bit of veiling. If you don't know what veiling is, basically it just means that we're kind of blending it up into like our blush and bronzer, just to kind of blend it out a little bit better, and so that it's not quite so bam, you know what I mean? We don't want to look too dramatic, okay? I'm dramatic enough as it is. I don't need my makeup to be as dramatic as I am, okay? This one is from Real Techniques. It's a Real Techniques fluffy brush. I had this one forever. Just wipe that away, and now we're gonna do my favorite part, which is highlighting, because I want to be seen from space. I use the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting powder in the shade Blossom Glow. It looks like that. Hit pan on it, and I'm just gonna take a smaller angled fluffy brush like this. This is also from Coastal Scents. Tap off some of the excess, and I always start with my nose. I don't know why, I just always do. Hit the tip of my nose, maybe go down the bridge of my nose a little bit, just very lightly. Then after that, I dip in again, tap off the excess, and then put some right along my cheekbones, like so. I love this stuff. Okay, so I kind of fibbed, we're not done. I have to do my lips, and I totally forgot about that part. So I just put a little bit of Carmex over my lips to kind of moisturize them, and then I hit my lips with what was left of my concealer on my sponge. And the reason I do that is because my lips are really pigmented, and I feel like whenever I do like lip colors and stuff on them, they don't really show through as their like true color. This is I'm gonna use the ColourPop Lippie pencil in the shade Lady. It's kind of like a darker burgundy-ish color. I'm just gonna use this to line my lips. I don't even know if they actually make this one anymore. It's an older one. I'm gonna use this to line my lips and then just go in with a regular lipstick. So my lips are lined, and the next thing that I'm gonna use is this one from Milani. It's called Matte Naked, shade 61. Looks kind of like that. Maybe a little bit lighter than the lip liner that we used. Now, sometimes I go over this with like a gloss. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna keep it matte and cute. So, anywho, that is the finished look. Take my hair down finally. And yeah, kind of maybe turn the lighting down a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. I don't know if you can see that very good, but that's basically it. She's cute, you know, she's not bad. I can clean up pretty good when I want to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it is helpful for anyone that struggles with foundation or anything like that, base makeup. I hope that if you have dry or sensitive skin, this is helpful for you. And yeah, thank you for watching this. If you're watching this, give me a like and subscribe if you want. And if you want to see more things from me, let me know. Give me some ideas. It's been a really long time. Thanks.